Thank you for joining us.
On tonight's programme, a year on from the North York Moors wildfires, a plea to everyone to reduce the risk to our landscape.
One road spark, that's all it could take from anything, and not necessarily immediately. It could be something that smoulders, people that cause it may not even know.
In memory of teenager James Campbell, the screening's being held on Teesside to detect cardiac risk for young people.
He was a boy that always wanted to help others. I'd like to think that we're doing him proud and we're still doing that on his behalf.
Also tonight, the school uniform bank on Teesside that says it's helping more people than ever this year.
And a new look Middlesbrough kicks off the championship season this weekend. Good evening. At the end of another hot day that's seen our fire crews deal with yet more wildfires at spots across the region.
This was the scene at Great Broughton near Stokesley earlier this afternoon, and they weren't the only flames that needed stamping out as the mercury edged towards the high 20s yet again. Many fear that the region could face another fire on the scale of the one that raged on the North York Moors last year. And earlier today, the government put a temporary ban on the sale of disposable barbecues.
That's the decision that's been welcomed by farmers, fire crews and homeowners facing another warm and dry weekend, as Greggy Steele reports.
It's now just over a year since a 6-month-long blaze tore through miles of the North York Moors, leaving scores of fire crews working hundreds of hours to put it all out. That destruction, it's now known, caused by someone cooking over a naked flame. And today, as wildfires ravage the country again, the government stepped up its response by banning the sale of disposable barbecues like this one, labelling them a significant risk to the public and a product that can't be considered safe. Not hard to find a fireman who agrees.
They reach very, very high temperatures, and when put on the soil, especially in these areas where the soil is made of peat, they can get very hot and they can burn underground and can often go unseen, so people will be almost unaware of the fire that they're starting.
They are wildfire starter kits being sold in supermarkets for £5. Sometimes they're discounted. I went into a supermarket recently, they were discounted to £2.50. For £2.50, you could be causing one of the most devastating wildfires the country has ever seen.
As we filmed, this crew in York, just back from a field fire, headed back out to a hedgerow fire. You can understand why some of them look fed up. Out onto the moors towards Whitby, warning shots fired at the roadside to passing tourists, urging them as we head into another hot weekend not to become the problem. The nightmare scenario is easy to see. One rogue spark for the sake of a few sausages in the sunshine that could turn this already parched land into scorched land that'll take decades to be healthy again. Farmer George Cromack saw vast swathes of his land ruined last summer and admits he's living on his nerves again this year.
Yeah, it's been a big anxiety all year. What happens, the tourist season? What if the weather's warm? What if it happens again? And a big anxiety of what could happen, who might do what. People are out there, barbecues, campfires, there's still a potential. I mean, people enjoying the holiday, but perhaps not thinking, getting a little bit carried away.
As the sun beats down then, the message couldn't be clearer. Don't bring a barbecue to your picnic table and add to what's becoming a burning problem. Greg Steele, ITV News.
Next tonight, hundreds of young people have attended a heart screening in Middlesbrough in memory of a teenager, James Campbell, who died of an undiagnosed heart condition.
The screenings were carried out by a team from the charity Cardiac Risk in the Young and involved patients being given ECGs.
The tests are used to check heart rhythm, diagnose heart attacks, and also find the cause of unexplained chest pain or dizziness. Chris Jepson reports.
Jack's attending a pop-up heart screening in Middlesbrough run by the charity Cardiac Risk in the Young, or CRY. Hooked up to the machine, he gets an ECG reading that is then observed by a doctor, and she then goes through the results with him.
I think it's really important for people to get checked, because sometimes these symptoms, they don't show themselves. So it's important that people get checked out, because it's not something that you would regularly have done otherwise. It's super simple. I came in 10 minutes ago, went in, had the actual ECG. I went in and talked through the results with the doctor. Quick, painless, super straightforward. But yeah, it could save lives, so it's really important.
The screening session has been organised by Karen Campbell through her fundraising in memory of her son James. He died 13 years ago of cardiac arrest at the age of just 16.
James sadly died in his sleep. Yeah, went to bed. No previous symptoms, nothing that you would think of that would any cause for concern. And it turns out that he's one of 12 a week that this happens to. So apparently fit and healthy young people. So the screenings today are really important, and they're there to make sure that it doesn't happen to anyone else. He was a boy that always wanted to help others when he was here. I'd like to think that we're doing him proud, and we're still doing that on his behalf. It's just lovely to think that our boy's not forgotten. And yeah, we're still doing some good in his memory.
Hundreds have turned up today for the screening from all over our region. And although the majority of them will go home with a complete clean bill of health, there's statistically 80% of these deaths that occur without any previous symptoms. So that's why this early intervention is so important.
We want to refer them for further investigation, so sometimes we pick up very small things that could be like electrical disorder, some kind of ECG alteration, and we say maybe there's something here, maybe we should further investigate that. Let's refer the people for that further investigation. That should always be done at the hospital, at the NHS, in a cardiology clinic.
Preventative healthcare in action, and with these sessions it's hoped more lives can be saved in memory of James. Chris Jepson, ITV News, Middlesbrough.
Yeah, really important screening service there. You're watching ITV News Tyne Teas, still to come on tonight's programme.
We look at the work of our region's blood bike volunteers as they ask for more people to consider joining them.
And clouds moving in from the west, a few showers, the sign of a cold front dividing the very hot conditions further east, more normal temperatures further west. What's going to win out into the weekend? I'll have your forecast later.
Now, security experts say there's been a sharp increase in the number of thefts and robberies targeting luxury items, things like jewellery, watches, partly triggered, they say, by the rising price of gold.
They say the gangs involved are often highly organised, targeting vulnerable stores and individuals. Kevin Ashford reports.
Armed robbery, the terrifying moments when thieves target high-value goods in a jeweller's shop. For many in the industry, it's a serious cause for concern. The owner of this jeweller's in Gosforth in Newcastle says many of his retail colleagues have been victims of crime.
I have seen a lot more people complaining about these thefts. Part of the CMJ, which is essentially the Master Jewellers Association. I'm in a WhatsApp group chat with jewellers as far up as Aberdeen and as far down as Southampton. And it seems to be a reoccurring theme that over the past, I wouldn't say a year, I'd probably say closer to 2 years, that we've been having a lot more people who have been experiencing thefts.
So far this year, there have been 34 robberies at jewellers reported to the industry's crime prevention scheme, with goods valued at more than £3.7 million being stolen. The same period last year saw 10 robberies reported. Security experts say criminals are attracted to luxury items that have increased in value.
The gold price really spiked at the end of 2025, continued into 2026, and I think that was the initial driver of what we're seeing. There's no bank robberies anymore. They ended a long time ago. Banks don't have cash, right? You know, it's very difficult to get cash out of a bank these days. So did bank robbers go away? No, they didn't. They simply switched their attention to small item, high value. Well, that's gold, watches, diamonds, jewellery, that sort of thing.
Experts say retailers and householders must be prepared to invest in security measures to counter the threat from criminals. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Next tonight, a school uniform bank on Teesside says they are helping even more families ahead of the new school year.
Reloved Clothing gave out more than 1,200 items of uniform this time last year. It's already exceeded that figure during the current summer holidays.
It comes as one charity says the rising costs of the summer holidays, combined with having to buy uniform, is putting financial pressure on some parents. Chris Conway reports.
It was Reloved Clothing Uniform Bank in Hartlepool that provided a lifeline for Shupakai and her 4 children. Having just moved to the town and with little money, the cost of school uniforms left her feeling overwhelmed.
Every time I talk about it, I feel like crying because we didn't have anything and we're not on public funds, and so they couldn't help us from the council. So when I walked through the door and I got the help that I got, I felt so relieved that my daughter is going to fit in, especially the one who was going to secondary school, that she's going to fit in. She's not going to look different from other kids in school.
The Children's Society is warning North East families of feeling the summer pinch as they prepare children for the new term. The charity says nearly 3/4 of parents in our region believe school holiday costs were higher now than last summer. 2/3 described the holidays as financially stressful, while more than half said the cost of activities was difficult to manage.
What we've seen consistently for years after year after year is that uniform is just too expensive for families, and we've got to do even more to make sure we help families who are struggling to pay for it.
Those running Hartlepool's uniform bank say the cost of branded uniform is one reason why many families seek help.
We try and encourage families, particularly primary school families, to go with the non-branded items because they are easier to replace.
From September, schools in England will be limited to just 3 compulsory branded uniform items, a step in the right direction, say those in Hartlepool.
I'm a big believer in uniform, and I think uniform, it still should stay. There's no reason why we need so many branded items of clothing for an individual child.
After giving out 1,200 items of uniform last summer, Reloved Clothing say demand for their help continues to increase. Help they stand ready to give. They believe uniforms should not be a barrier to education. Chris Conway, ITV News in Hartlepool.
Great service, helping a lot of people in that community. Next tonight, challenges in the hospitality industry, especially for local pubs, particularly, we are told, in North Yorkshire.
Yeah, CAMRA, that's the campaign group for Real Ale, say that they've seen a high number close their doors this year already, and they would like to see the government do more to support them. Michael Billington has been speaking to one landlord planning to shut up shop in Whitby.
Glaisdale in the North York Moors is among the most picturesque of settings, a village full of history and folklore. Legend has it that Beggar's Bridge here was named after Tom, the impoverished farm boy who left to make his fortune at sea and returned to finally win the hand of the wealthy squire's daughter. But fast forward to 21st century Glaisdale, and real-life cost pressures could mean anything but a happy ending for the village pub.
It's the tax, I'm paying VAT outstanding, I've got rent outstanding. The duty on the beer they take is ridiculous. It's 2/3 to 3/4 of the price of a pint.
Landlord Tony's let 2/3 of his staff go at the Arncliffe Arms after an increase in wages and national insurance he simply couldn't afford. Despite cutting back, he's decided after 50 years in the business to call time on his career.
Everything I earn will go out in bills and tax. So it's just not worth me killing myself 18 hours a day to do that.
If this wasn't here, this lot would be mutinying against me. We're walking the coast-to-coast trip, which goes right across the country. And it is part of the culture of the country, isn't it? It would be a shame if it wasn't available, I guess.
When I knew that I was coming to England, there were a list of things that I wanted to check off of one of them was fish and chips in a pub, and having a beer or a pint with my husband in a pub. And so, yes, if that didn't exist anymore, I think that would be quite sad.
It's part of why we came here, visit some of the pubs and drink some great beer, real ale.
But if there's nowhere around to sell it?
Right, exactly. It'd be a loss.
Almost 800 pubs will close across the country this year, according to the Campaign for Real Ale. So far, 82 have gone for good, either demolished or converted into something else. 6 of those permanent closures were in Yorkshire, the 3rd highest in the country.
The industry's been calling out for VAT changes, for business rate changes, to take a look at the national insurance contributions that were brought in a previous budget, and just accept that actually it's really difficult and it's really hard to run a pub.
You can't guarantee their future, that's not for government, but we can relieve some of the pressure. We're doing that with the business rate cut. And in pubs, we as a government have also knocked back the beer duty that's paid when people buy a pint of beer in a pub compared to a supermarket or off-licence sales.
How difficult is it, with the time that you've spent in this industry, to see it the way it is now?
Heartbreaking. I am heartbroken.
The Arncliffe Arms has been serving this community since it opened in 1800. But once Tony has gone, this pub, like so many others, could be consigned to the history books itself. Michael Billington, ITV News in Glaisdale, in the North York Moors.
More on that story in the national and international news after us at 6:30.
Coming up in the ITV Evening News, the Prime Minister orders a temporary ban on disposable barbecues as he sees for himself the impact of devastating fires in the West Midlands. Victory for Nigel Farage in the Clacton by-election, but now the investigation into his finances resumes. And the new efforts to save the great British boozer. So join us for those stories and more from 6:30.
Powering local sport in the community, Octopus Energy sponsors ITV Regional Sports Report.
The Football League opens its doors for a new season this weekend, and Middlesbrough, Simon, have high hopes for the months ahead.
They are quietly confident. It's not actually that quiet, to be honest. They're very confident. Spygate and Wembley heartbreak are old news, and it's a new-look Middlesbrough that'll kick off a new championship campaign tomorrow. Out with the old and in with the new. After an eye-catching summer spending spree, Middlesbrough feel they're ready for the challenge ahead, and it will be quite a challenge. The championship looks very strong this season.
If I'm going to say an honest thing, I think we're 100% competing for it. I think that is the feeling I have. A fair adjustment of it, and it's that we are here to compete for it, and I think everyone feels that we have a possibility to do it.
Kim Hellberg's confident, most Borough fans are confident, and if you want optimism, then the best time to ask Borough fans the big question was just after their big money new striker had scored a brilliant winning goal in last week's Carabao Cup tie.
How are Borough going to do this coming season?
We're going automatics up. We're getting promoted.
No doubts.
No doubts.
I'd like to think that we can do as well as we did last season and take it a little bit further.
We'll be up there. I'm positive we're up there, yeah. Hopefully promoted. Fingers crossed.
How confident are you?
50-50.
I think we'll probably place high. It will definitely make playoffs, but I'd rather get automatics, but yeah.
I think we'll win the league personally. I think we're going to do good. We might not get automatic, we might get third. We're going to go up.
Say up to Borough.
Up to Borough.
A word for the opposition tomorrow. Lincoln City were the League One champions no one saw coming last season, and they haven't lost a competitive match since November. Their promotion-winning manager Michael Scubala left to Bristol City. Chris Cohen and Tom Shaw replaced him as joint head coaches, and they won their season-opening cup tie at Derby last week. But the trip to Middlesbrough is a huge step up in class for Lincoln. Borough will expect to open with a win, and a sell-out crowd will be there, hoping to see Kim Hellberg's team start as they mean to go on. So Middlesbrough lost the playoff final last season, Simon. Can they go one better this time? I think so. I think their absolute ceiling, I'm that confident. They could be this year's Coventry. They could storm to the title. But let's be perhaps a bit more realistic. I think they're a playoff lock. And incidentally, there's 6 teams in the Championship playoffs from this season. So, a playoff lock. But I think competing for the top 2, it is a very strong league. West Ham and Wolves are rightly the bookies' favourites. I do like Borough's chances, though.
There you go. Elsewhere, Simon, it's a big day for York City tomorrow. It's their first game back in the Football League in 10 years, but the circumstances in the build-up to this have been a bit unusual, haven't they? I think it's fair to say.
They really have. I mean, it should have been a joyous occasion, but it's become kind of shrouded in mystery and discontent. York City's memorable promotion from the National League prompted some huge celebrations and great memories that'll last a lifetime. But then, late last month, the Minster Men's majority owners suddenly, and without warning, decided to blow up the summer. Chris Dawes reports.
It was a celebration a decade in the making. But since York City dramatically clinched promotion back to the Football League, there's been significant change. 3 weeks ago, manager Stuart Maynard was sacked by those who embraced him in April, with the club citing a difference in vision. He was replaced by Scott Lindsay, who experienced a real baptism of fire during York's recent EFL Cup defeat by Crawley. Lindsay wasn't sacked the following morning, and tomorrow will lead the team for their opening League Two match of the season against Bristol Rovers.
My message to the supporters is support the players. Yeah, if they don't like me, it ain't a problem to me, honestly, it's not. Just support the players. I really want them to back the players. They're a good side, right? If they don't like me, I'm absolutely fine with that. And I kind of get why. Like you said, I've come into an hornet's nest. You can call it that, call it whatever you want, not a problem. I've got real thick skin, I'm bulletproof, it's fine. But please back the players.
2.5, 3 weeks ago, we still had Stuart Maynard in charge. We were preparing for pre-season. There wasn't a hint of all this coming along. And then over the course of 48 hours, it blew up. There was a far from satisfactory explanation given. So here we are, as you say, looking forward to the first game. And yeah, genuinely looking forward to it, but at the same time, with some very mixed feelings.
Whatever happens, it promises to be an eventful afternoon at the Community Stadium.
There's one more week of friendly fun before the Premier League starts again. Newcastle United head coach Matthias Jaissler will taste the St James's Park atmosphere for the first time. The Magpies face German side Bayer Leverkusen tomorrow, and then the French side RC Strasbourg on Sunday. Just the one game for Sunderland. They host French team Stade Rennais at the Stadium of Light tomorrow. Both Durham and Yorkshire have been in action in the quarter-finals of cricket's One-Day Cup. Durham were away to Lancashire, and a brilliant century from David Beddingham helped Durham rack up their record score in this competition. They made 349 for 8 in their 50 overs. Yorkshire are at home to Nottinghamshire. They posted 273 for 9 against Notts. Yorkshire's Ben Coe took a couple of early wickets when Notts began their reply. The game started to get away from Yorkshire after that. Then they fought back. It's not quite finished, and it's going to be close. No such problems for Durham, though. Their record score was far too rich for Lancashire's blood. Durham won by 162 runs, and they're into the semi-finals.
Simon, thanks very much indeed. Have a good weekend. Now, local blood bike groups such as Northumbria Blood Bikes and Blood Run Emergency Voluntary Service work across our region, giving free out-of-hours transport services for blood and medical supplies.
And today marks National Blood Bike Awareness Day. And the Nationwide Association of Blood Bikes wants to spread that message and say they are in need of more volunteers to keep their vital service running. Amrit Birdie has more.
Another day, another potentially life-saving delivery from Anne, the blood biker. She is one of 4,500 volunteers across the UK who transport medical essentials. And despite the name, it's not just about delivering blood.
We do a lot of really urgent medication, mainly palliative care medication, and anything really that the hospital wants us to transport. We've even done dentures and some quite bizarre things and medical equipment. It's very, very costly for them doing it by alternative transport. We do it for free for them.
Today, Anne's delivery takes her from hospital to hospice, where many end-of-life patients rely on their medications being dropped off.
Getting timely medications to patients is really important, and it can be really, really stressful for families to have to leave their loved ones when they are really sick and go and get prescriptions for them. They're always really, really grateful, I think, that somebody's done that job for them.
Blood bike services save the NHS millions of pounds every year, but they need more people to get involved. And it's not just bikers they're after.
It's that element of just doing something good for your local community. And because the organisations thrive on the goodwill of those volunteers, whether it's for those shifts driving or riding the bikes to deliver, or whether it's fundraising, or whether it's taking the telephone calls and helping administrate those local charities, we all rely on volunteers from all across the UK.
On National Blood Bike Awareness Day, volunteers like Anne and Sandy are celebrated for their selfless work. But for them, it's just another day on the road. Amrit Birdie, ITV News.
And a fantastic work of the blood bike volunteers there. Ross joins us in the studio now. It's Friday night, but I feel like it's been a really busy week leading up to this point. There's been a lot going on.
The weather has taken over a lot this week. We're counting the eclipse in the weather, I'm going to say. I'm claiming the eclipse.
Claiming that as weather.
It turns a bit cooler when it happens, so there we go. That's official weather. But yeah, an extraordinary week, particularly when it comes to temperatures and dry weather too.
Yeah.
I mean, more hard times for our farmers, I have to say, but they are out there collecting the hay at the moment. Look at this here.
That just screams autumn to me, and I feel I'm actually ready for autumn. I'm just going to put that out there. But it's not autumn, it's August, and look at that, like it's harvest time.
A lot of places are taking it in early because it has been so dry, and we had that hot weather as well. This list here, these are temperatures that are now record-breaking for our region. This was yesterday, particularly getting all those stats finally in. We had a record night as well last night. We've got Loftus, Morpeth, Scarborough all recording their warmest August nights as well. Mostly above 20 degrees, officially a tropical night. That is very, very unusual for our part of the world. So yeah, a dozen stations there recording record heat. No records today. And that's the first time I've said that for a little while.
All week, I think.
But still, very hot. It's funny how our parameters sort of change. We didn't get to 35 degrees, therefore it's not as hot.
I
it's
thought
fresher.
it was going to be cooler than it has been today after what you said yesterday, but it's still hot.
It depends where you are, because it's this cold front here we've been watching, that we're on that dividing line there. So actually Kielder, 22 degrees, the daytime high. Parts of North Yorkshire closer to 30 degrees once again. But the cold front is continuing to move. 35 degrees above that again in the south. Our 10th day this year above 35 degrees. Very unusual. Here's the forecast.
Ancient sites will clear, bringing local dishes in the afternoon. TUI sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
Even though we didn't see any temperature records broken today, still very warm in that sunshine. Temperatures up in the high 20s, even low 30s, so it is going to stay mild overnight. Into tomorrow, yes, the sunny spells, but the cloud has been increasing, the sign of a cold front moving through. Not as hot as we head through the weekend. We are losing this flow of that stifling air from the continent. The cold front that's currently over us, tracking its way down towards the southeast, and it's behind that we're starting to see that change in wind direction. The hottest air squeezed back down to the continent, and for us, temperatures gradually dropping back down to where they should be at this point in August. We're seeing that at the moment. The cloud that's rolling through, a few showers that have bubbled up, the sign of that cold front. Overnight, we do get some clearer skies, the clouds coming and going. Temperatures still holding up, not as warm as last night, but 15, maybe 16 degrees as the overnight low does very much put it on the milder side. So into tomorrow morning, mild start to the day, plenty of sunshine around. As we make our way into the afternoon, bit of fair weather cloud is starting to try to work its way through. But you can see we have had that change in wind direction. It's now coming in from the northwest, so temperatures feeling far more reasonable, highs around 22 or 23 degrees. So if you are out and about in the sunshine, actually quite a pleasant day. Through Saturday and into Sunday, we're starting to see more of an unsettled influence as we head into the early part of next week. That begins through Sunday. We've got this system here working its way in from the west. There is some much needed rain on this, but by the time it reaches us, a lot of that will have petered out. But there is more in the way of cloud as we end the weekend. That will take us into Monday with occasional brighter breaks. Later Monday into Tuesday, a more organised band of rain looking like it will move in from the west, highs staying up in the low 20s.
TUI sponsors ITV Tyne's weather.
you, Ross. I was shocked to spot some rain in that forecast then. In just a moment, the national and the international news.
But that's Friday's news, sport and weather for you. Thank you for your company. Have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.